Hello. Hi, Don Meyer here from Creativity Wise. Welcome. And this is just a test, a first test that we're doing in Creativity Wise for the idea of doing some webinars for you guys. And this is just a test, so it's for just a select few members. And as soon as we see how it goes, we can post it on the site for everybody else to see. So, and in the future, we're gonna, of course, let everybody join, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. So, what I thought about doing for this test post webinar is to take this one post that I just wrote and didn't publish yet, and it's called 7 Tips to Help You Enjoy Your Creative Work Every Single Day. And I have a lot to say about that, and what I mean by that, by the way, is that you know how when you start your career in a creative profession, you're very enthusiastic in the beginning, and you're totally into it, and you love it, and then day in day out, with everything that happens, and just the fact that it's becoming a job. If you're not careful, it can become something kind of boring, and it's very hard to keep that passion that you had in the beginning going over time. So this post is about how to do that, how to keep the passion alive over time. And I have a lot, as I said, I have a lot to say about the subject. And when I started writing it, and it became way too long for a post, I thought, hey, maybe I can do this webinar thing, and I can see if I can take this post where I just kept it to the minimum, just the nuggets of ideas. Here I can kind of broaden it, and it could be fun to do it that way. So let me know what you think about that. And in the meanwhile, let's do this. So 7 tips to help you enjoy your creative work every single day. So tip number 1, walk to work and back. And this is something I feel very strongly about, because I think I don't have any way of knowing, but I'm pretty sure that it had a huge impact on my own career. And the story goes like this: when I started working, my first job, my first creative job, happened to be 20 minutes walk from home for me. And that 20 minutes of walk to work and home every day made a lot of difference for me. And as I said, I think it made a huge impact, and I think it made my career something it wouldn't have been otherwise. Every day when I would work to work, my mind was already kind of at work, kind of thinking about what it is that I'm going to do, the challenges, and maybe something that didn't work the day before. How can I solve that? And most of the times I would arrive at work very invigorated and with several ideas of how I can solve it. Really, I couldn't wait to start. I couldn't wait to start trying my ideas. And compare that to how usually people come to work, like they kind of drag their feet in and sort of settle and get the coffee and kind of find, I need to go to Facebook a little bit, and they kind of try to find excuses to kind of not just start yet. Maybe I can take another 5 minutes. And with me, it was like, yeah, I have so many ideas. I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna draw. And that was because the 20 minutes of walk every day. And then on the way back home, it was a process of kind of a cool down, and you get to kind of think about the day and what kind of go live through the day again in a compressed way, and kind of pick out these things that you can really learn from it. And I used to do that, and many times I would even come home, and if I had some interesting thought, I would write it down, and it became kind of a professional diary that later became the foundation of a lot of the stuff I did when I started teaching, and even the whole creative process idea kind of started evolving already in this very early time. And of course it would come into being many years later, but the kind of thinking that went behind it, all that was really formed in these 20 minutes walk every day back and forth. So I really recommend it. And you know, there are many excuses that you can find to not do it. But I think if you really wanted to do it, you could do it. Like if you're a freelancer, just go out and take a 20 minutes stroll around the block, come back, and there you have it. And try to keep the work in mind. Try to start working before you actually start working. It's let your mind race ahead of you into work, and then you come later. And if you commute to work by car, you know, why don't you just park a little bit further away and walk a little bit? So there are many solutions, and I think even if you don't do it every day, if you do it like every other day, that's fine. That's fine. But try to do that. For me, I think it really changed the course of my whole career. So okay, enough about that. Number 2, start your day by studying work you really like, and that's also something that when I do it, it does a lot of really good things. First of all, if you do it really first thing in the morning or when you just arrive to work, and all it takes is just 20 minutes of sketching from something that you really like, or copying it even, or even just looking at it, even though that's not as good. But even if you just look at it and kind of really try and study it and understand it, analyze it, maybe make some notes, 20 minutes, you know, it really does a lot in terms of, first of all, connecting you to the kind of stuff that you like. Because maybe, you know, as an animator, for example, I would do commercials. I didn't care about commercials so much. I wanted to do films. But just by having these 20 minutes in the beginning of the day connected me to these dreams that I had. So, okay, now I'm doing commercials, but for these 2 minutes, it really connects me to why I'm in animation in the first place. And I think it can happen to you too if you start your day looking at some work you really like and studying it. And then it also, over time, it really makes you better. But in the short term, it even does a lot of good, because it gives you, you know, like I said with the walk, that you kind of start the day with a lot of ideas. So you look into this work that you really like, and you kind of discover it, discover the nuances and the niceties and the great stuff that's in there, and it kind of gives you, inspiration to try this kind of stuff in your own work. And even if you're doing something mundane and kind of boring, you can try this little thing out. I'm going to try this, and it really makes a difference in the passion that you work with. Tip number 3. I think a lot of us, especially in the first years, we kind of really into it. Like if we're, you know, what they call geeks. If you're the geek of your profession, whatever it is, and you're kind of really enthusiastic about it, I think a lot of us tend to spend every single day doing it or thinking about it. And I found that when I took a 1 day every week away from this thing that I'm really enthusiastic about, it really helps. It helps to miss it a little bit. It helps to get the mind away from this thing that it's racing in and thinking about something else for a while. You know, go out and travel or you know, spend time with the family, and don't be like, oh, I really want to be in my desk right now and try this stuff out. You know, accept it that it's good to be away a little bit, because you miss it. And when you come back to work the next day, it's gonna be more fun, and you'll also be more creative because you let yourself experience stuff. And in this 1 day, put yourself in input mode. Put yourself in listening mode. Observe stuff. make mental notes. It's really important. It really livens you up. So one day a week, try to have a day where you don't create anything. You're in input mode. Tip number 4. This is something I obviously feel very strongly about, being a creative process buff. Tip number 4 is control the process. What I mean by that is try not to get too far too fast. I think a lot of confusion and a lot of frustration that we all feel while working, and which takes away from the fun of creativity that we could have felt. I think it comes from really expecting yourself too much, expecting to have all the answers and to get straight to the point, like straight to success. And if you control the process, if you take baby steps and work in passes and in layers and kind of focus, this is really important, focus on improvement rather than success. If you focus on gradual improvement, that does a lot to keep the fun and the passion in it. And in a way, it's also very similar to the tip I just was talking about before, of taking a weekly day off. Because when you control the process, you kind of you're not exhausting your creativity. You're kind of taking it it's like running a marathon rather than running a sprint. You can just go farther over time. It's more sustainable that way. So control the process. And obviously in creativitywise.com and in the Go Create course, and we're talking a lot about that. This is controlling the process is really what it's all about. And I think this is the one thing that really, really changes a lot for creatives. And I've experienced that with myself and with a lot of my students. The minute you kind of realize how important it is to control the process, to understand the process, it really makes a whole huge difference. Tip number 5 out of 7. Yeah, sorry. Tip number 5 out of the 7 tips is challenge yourself. Find ways to challenge yourself every single day. What I mean by that, and here's a story. There's a guy I was working with at one time. Oops, somebody just passed behind me. But yeah. So tip number 5, if you challenge yourself every single day, yeah, I'm going to start this again. So tip number 5. Challenge yourself. Find ways to challenge yourself every single day. And here's a story about that. So this guy that I used to work with, he had this idea that with every task that he was getting, he didn't. He would find like a thing that he could practice through this task. So if he got, even if he had to do something really boring, he would practice like, okay, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to really draw beautiful hands. And he knows that nobody cares about how the hands look, but he's going to learn about drawing hands from this particular boring task. And this kept him going, and I thought that was a really awesome idea. So ask yourself, with every work that you have, what can you practice, or how can you make it a little bit even more difficult for yourself, just to see if you can do it. So challenge yourself really every single day with every little task. Try and find something that you can really enjoy. It's almost, what it's like. It's like kids that, how you were a kid and you're walking on the pavement, and there are these lines in the pavement, and you kind of challenge yourself not to only step on the lines or only step between the lines. It's kind of like that, just find these stupid challenges that make the whole thing into a fun game. And I think that's and over time, first of all, it's more fun that way, and second of all, it makes you better over time. So it really makes a difference. Tip number 6 out of 7. So we're coming to the end. Collaborate. It's really, really difficult to get excited about anything all by yourself. And when you do it with some people around you, it really makes a difference, and it makes it more fun. At least that's the way it is for me, and I got the impression that it's like that for a lot of other people as well. So if you're the kind of guy who likes people, I think that's a great tip. So find way, get used to showing your work, and make sure that you show it in early stages, so you're really open to discussion about that, and discuss it with friends, brainstorm with them, and create, get out of this idea that creativity is something you just do alone in front of your computer or in front of your, I don't know, clay or whatever it is that you're working with, because I think most professional creatives do collaborate in some ways, in many ways. And even writers that are famous. I just read this book that was telling about how writers that are famous for being like these solitary types, they still when you really learn about how they live their life, they did collaborate a lot. They showed each other what they were doing, and it really makes a lot of good. So yeah, so tip number 7, last one, initiate changes. Don't let changes will happen in a creative industry. Changes will happen. So I think if you're the one that making the changes, you're in control, and and it gets your inspiration where it needs to be. Because I think inspiration and passion, they don't like living in static situations, in stale water, so to speak. They like flux and flow and things that change. So create changes all the time. Change your tools, change your working methods, change the kind of art that you look to for inspiration. Change sitting arrangements. Just try and take the every few months, take the table and put it somewhere else. Replace the chair. I don't know. If you work in a studio, try and switch places with somebody. It really helps. It makes your mind think a little bit differently somehow. Get new ideas, and even change your workplace pretty constantly. And I found I never worked any place more than 2 years straight, and that could be a little bit too much, but I think it really helped my career. That I just changed places and people all the time. You get when you work in a different place, you have different people to please. You're more eager to please, and that brings the best out of people. I think, to be in the front all the time, not to just sink in your comfort zone. If you just get out there and just create change for yourself and try to deal with that change, I think it really holds the passion, and creates a lot of fun eventually, even if it's not very comfortable. And what I always say, that there is a difference between comfortable and fun, because you can climb the mountain and have fun even though it's difficult. So something can be difficult and fun at the same time. So I think that's the way you should look at your career. You shouldn't be comfortable. You should look for difficult and fun, because comfortable over time isn't fun. Comfortable is usually over time it becomes less fun, but difficult can be fun over a long time. I think that's it for this recording, this webinar, and I hope that you've enjoyed it, and please let me know what you think about that. Do you want to see more of these? Did it help you? Did you feel that if you read the post before you listen to this, did it really help you understand the points better? All that, just let me know what you think. And until next time, have fun. Bye bye.